Welcome to African Tales Stories channel. Without wasting our time, let's get to the watch. The black iron gates of the Adams mansion loomed like the jaws of a great beast, opening slowly with a groan, as if reluctant to let her in. Zara clutched her small bag tightly, the only possession she had left in the world. Her heart pounded as she stepped onto the gleaming marble driveway. The mansion was enormous, too big, too clean, too perfect. It smelled of fresh jasmine and something else, something cold, like secrets buried deep beneath the polished floors. She had spent her whole life in the crowded, dusty streets of Ajegunle, where survival was a daily fight, where hunger gnawed at her ribs like a restless beast. But now she was here inside a world she had only ever seen from a distance, a world that had destroyed her mother. "Hey, you there!" A sharp voice snapped Zara from her thoughts. A woman in a stiff, white uniform glared at her from the steps. "Are you deaf? Come here!" Zara hurried forward, lowering her gaze. The woman's eyes raked over her like a hawk inspecting prey. "Name?" "Zara, ma." The new girl. The woman's lips twisted in a sneer. "I'm Madame Eunice, the housekeeper. You listen to me, and you might last here. If you steal, if you gossip, if you so much as breathe in the wrong direction, you will be thrown out like trash. Understood?" Zara nodded. She had survived worse. She would survive this too. But inside, her blood boiled. This was only the beginning. The first time she saw him, he wasn't supposed to see her. Zara had been dusting the grand staircase when a door swung open upstairs. A young man stepped out, his white shirt loose, his sleeves rolled up as if he had just woken up. His skin was the color of smooth mahogany, his jawline sharp enough to carve ice. But it was his eyes that made Zara pause, warm brown with a depth she couldn't understand. Max Adams, the heir, the golden son. He walked past without noticing her, his phone pressed to his ear. "I told you, Dad, I don't care about the business. I just got back. Can I breathe?" A voice deep, commanding, and full of power boomed from the other side of the call. "Max, you are an Adams. You don't have the luxury of breathing." Max groaned and ran a hand through his curls. "We'll talk later." He ended the call, exhaling sharply. For a moment, his gaze flickered downward and met Zara's. Her breath caught. He shouldn't have noticed her. She was just the help. But something unreadable passed through his eyes: curiosity, recognition. Before she could look away, a smirk tugged at his lips. "What's your name?" he asked. Zara froze. "Speak or stay silent." She started, but before she could answer, Madame Eunice's voice sliced through the air like a whip. "Max, please don't talk to the maids." He shrugged. "Just being friendly." "Friendliness will ruin this house," Eunice muttered under her breath. Zara pretended not to hear, but she had learned something valuable today. The golden son was not as perfect as he seemed. Zara kept her head down, but the mansion whispered secrets. The way Chief Adams's wife, Lady Funke, clenched her jaw every time her husband spoke. The way the housekeeper moved around certain locked doors like they were graves she dared not disturb. And then there was Max. He was different. Unlike his father, his presence didn't feel like a storm waiting to strike. But he was dangerous in his own way. He smiled too easily. He asked too many questions. And worst of all, he noticed things. "You like books?" Zara jumped. She had been sneaking a peek at the bookshelf in the grand study when Max appeared beside her. She dropped her duster and bent to pick it up, but he beat her to it, holding it out with a lopsided grin. "You don't have to be scared of me, you know." "I'm not scared," she said quickly. "Then why are you shaking?" She stiffened. He was playing with her. Rich boys always did. She straightened her back, meeting his gaze head on. "I was just admiring the books." He seemed impressed. "You read?" "Yes." "Interesting." He plucked a book from the shelf and flipped through it. "Most of the people in this house don't even touch these. What's your favorite book?" Zara hesitated. "Things Fall Apart." Max's brow lifted. "A classic. Good choice." For a moment, silence stretched between them, and then, like the crack of thunder, Madame Eunice's voice rang out. "Zara!" Zara jumped away from Max like she had been burned. The housekeeper stood in the doorway, eyes blazing. "You are here to work, not to make friends with the young master." Max sighed. "Eunice, relax. No, young sir. She must learn her place." Zara felt the warning beneath Eunice's words. Step too close, and she would be destroyed. But even as she backed away, she felt Max's gaze linger, as if he had already decided that lines were meant to be crossed. The night was heavy with rain, the kind that rattled the glass windows of the Adams mansion and drummed against the rooftop like hurried whispers. Zara sat on the cold floor of the servants' quarters, her fingers trembling as she tried to read the worn-out book she had borrowed from the library, but she couldn't focus. Her heart still raced from what had happened earlier that day. Max had touched her hand. It had been an accident at least. She told herself it was. She had been clearing the dining table when his fingers brushed against hers. A simple touch. A moment that should have meant nothing. But when she looked up, she had seen it, the flicker of curiosity in his eyes, the unspoken question lingering between them. Max was nothing like his father. Where Chief Adams's eyes were sharp and full of judgment, Max's were warm, questioning. But it didn't matter. She had to remind herself of that. She was the maid. He was the prince of this palace. And yet, when he had asked about the book in her hands earlier that day, when he had laughed and said, "You read? That's unexpected," Zara had felt something shift. A dangerous shift. That night, she made herself a promise. Stay invisible. Do your job. Do not let him see you. But the next morning, the promise shattered. Breakfast in the Adams house was not a meal, it was a battlefield. Chief Adams sat at the head of the table, reading the newspaper, his face carved from stone. His wife, Madame Maya, sipped her coffee with slow, calculated movements, her sharp eyes flickering from Max to Zara as the servants moved around them. Zara kept her head down as she placed Max's tea before him, but she felt it, the tension, the weight of the secret glances. "Thank you, Zara," Max said, his voice too kind, too gentle. The sound of a spoon hitting a plate made Zara freeze. Madame Maya was staring at them now, her expression unreadable. "I see we are getting too familiar with the help," she said, voice smooth as poisoned honey. Max chuckled, unfazed. "What's wrong with being polite, Mother?" His father finally lowered the newspaper. His stare was a silent warning. "Max." His voice was calm but filled with quiet thunder. "Let me remind you of something. There are two types of people in this world: those who belong at the table and those who serve it. Zara swallowed hard, gripping the tray in her hands. Max, ever defiant, simply smiled. "And I suppose you sit on the throne above them all?" Chief Adams did not answer, but the room was suddenly colder. As Zara turned to leave, she caught something Madame Maya's lips curling into the slightest smirk, a knowing smirk. Zara's stomach twisted. They were watching her now. They knew. That night, Zara lay awake in her small bed, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding like distant war drums. They suspect something. She had seen it in Chief Adams's eyes. She had felt it in Madame Maya's smirk. And yet that wasn't what kept her awake. It was the photograph. Tucked beneath her mattress, hidden from the world, was a picture yellowed with age, edges torn from years of desperate fingers holding it too tightly. A picture of her mother. A picture of Chief Adams standing beside her mother, years younger but unmistakably him, his arm around her shoulder, a ghost of a smile on his lips. Zara clenched her fists. She had come here for a reason. Not for love. Not for Max. Not for a better life. She had come for answers. For justice. For revenge. And now she knew. Chief Adams, the man who sat on his throne, judging the poor, throwing people like her mother away, was the same man who had destroyed her family. The same man who had left her mother to die in the gutters while he built his empire. Rage burned in her veins. But so did fear. Because now Max was tangled in her web, and she didn't know if she had the strength to let him go. The grand Adams mansion stood tall, its golden chandeliers casting eerie shadows on the marble floors. But tonight, the house felt colder, like a place haunted by unseen eyes. Zara's heart pounded in her chest as she walked past the long hallways. She could feel it, someone was watching her. She gripped the tray in her hands, her fingers trembling slightly. The tea set rattled, but she steadied herself. She had played the obedient maid for too long. Now she needed answers. In the dim light, she spotted Chief Omar Adams at the far end of the hallway, speaking on the phone. His voice was low, threatening, like a snake hissing in the dark. "Make sure she disappears. I don't care how you do it." Zara's blood ran cold. Who was he talking about? Was it her? She took a step back, but the polished floor betrayed her. Creak. Chief Adams's head snapped up. His piercing eyes met hers. "Zara." His voice was silk wrapped around steel. "What are you doing here?" Tu was just bringing tea to Madame. Her voice came out small, but inside, her mind was racing. Chief Adams stepped closer, his towering presence suffocating. His lips curled into a knowing smirk. "You've been snooping, haven't you?" Zara's breath hitched. She wanted to deny it, but her face betrayed her. Chief Adams chuckled. But it was not a laugh of humor. It was a warning, a predator sizing up its prey. "You think you're smart," he murmured. "But girls like you don't last long when you step into places you don't belong." Zara clenched her fists. He didn't scare her. Not anymore. Let him think he's winning. Let him believe you're weak. She bowed slightly, forcing her lips into a meek smile. "Yes, sir. I understand, sir." But deep inside, she made a promise. One day, This man would kneel before her. Max found Zara in the garden that night, sitting on the stone bench under the moonlight. "I don't like seeing you like this," he murmured, kneeling before her. Zara swallowed hard. She shouldn't be here with him. She shouldn't let herself feel this way. But when she looked into his eyes, so kind, so full of love, she felt herself unraveling. "Max, we can't," she whispered. "I don't care what they say," he said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I don't care about the rules, the money, the name. I just want you." His fingers traced the curve of her jaw, his touch as light as a feather, and then before she could stop herself, she leaned in. Their lips met. The world stopped. It was sweet, aching, forbidden. And then a scream. Zara's eyes flew open as Madame Adams stood at the balcony, her face twisted in horror. "How dare you!" she shrieked, her voice echoing through the night. Footsteps thundered behind her. The doors burst open. Guards, servants, Chief Adams. Max stood, shielding Zara. "Mother, stop this." But it was too late. The hurricane had begun. The mansion was in chaos. Zara had been dragged inside like a criminal, her arms locked in the grip of two guards. Madame Adams paced back and forth, her face flushed with rage. "She has poisoned my son," she cried. "She is nothing but a filthy, gold-digging snake." Chief Adams sat in his chair, watching, silent, calculating, dangerous. Max clenched his fists. "She's not what you think, Mother." Madame Adams whirled around. "Then who is she, Max? A maid? A thief? Or worse? A daughter?" The words almost slipped from Zara's lips, but she bit them back. "Not yet." "I warned you, Zara." Chief Adams finally spoke, his voice cold. "And yet, you refuse to leave." Zara lifted her chin. "Because I'm not done here." Something flickered in his eyes, a shadow of fear. Max turned to Zara, confused. "What does that mean?" Zara reached into her pocket, pulling out the old photograph. Gasps filled the room. In the picture, a young Chief Adams stood beside a beautiful woman, Zara's mother. The room fell silent. Max's eyes darted between his father and the photograph. "Zara!" His voice was barely a whisper. "What is this?" Zara took a deep breath. It was time. "This man," she said, pointing at Chief Adams, "is the reason my mother died." A pin could have dropped in the silence. Chief Adams's face turned pale. Madame Adams took a step back. "You're lying," she hissed. But Zara wasn't finished. "My mother was the love of his life," she continued, her voice shaking with fury. "But when she got pregnant with me, he abandoned her, left her to suffer while he married into wealth." She turned to Chief Adams, her eyes blazing. "Tell them, Chief. Tell them who I really am." Chief Adams shot up from his chair, his voice trembling with rage. "Enough." Max's breath came in ragged gasps. Realization dawned in his eyes. "Zara," he whispered, "are you saying?" Tears burned in Zara's eyes. "I am your father's daughter." Max stumbled back as if he'd been struck. "No," he muttered. "That can't be true." Zara turned back to Chief Adams, her fists clenched. "And I came here for one thing." Chief Adams's face darkened. Revenge. The world felt like it was spinning. Zara stood in the dimly lit study, her heart hammering in her chest. The weight of the truth threatened to crush her. Chief Adams, the man who had tormented her mother, the man she had come to destroy, was her own father. Max's face had turned pale, his breath coming in short, ragged gasps. His father's confession had sucked the air from the room like a vacuum. "No, no, this can't be," Max whispered, shaking his head violently. His voice cracked like dry wood snapping under pressure. "Tell me it's a lie, Dad. Tell me Zara isn't my—" But Chief Adams's cold, pitiless gaze was answer enough. Zara felt her stomach twist painfully. The love that had blossomed between her and Max, the gentle whispers in the night, the stolen glances, all of it was doomed from the start. Tears burned her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She clenched her fists so tightly her nails dug into her palms. She had spent years dreaming of revenge, but now she didn't know what she wanted anymore. Chief Adams leaned forward, his voice dripping with poison. "I will give you anything, Zara. Money, power, a new life, just leave. Take your secrets and disappear." Zara's laugh was bitter. "Disappear? Just like my mother? You think you can erase me like you erased her?" Max turned to his father, his voice trembling with barely restrained fury. "You destroyed her mother's life, and now you want to do the same to Zara?" His hands curled into fists. "I will never forgive you for this." The air between them was thick, suffocating. Every second felt like a ticking time bomb, ready to explode. Chief Adams's expression darkened. "You will do as I say, Max. You are my son, and you will obey me." But for the first time, Max's eyes blazed with defiance. "No, Father. I am nothing like you." By morning, the world knew everything. The secret that had been buried for decades was no longer hidden. Zara had made sure of that. Newspapers screamed the headlines: "Billionaire's hidden daughter, the scandal that could end the Adams empire." The media swarmed the Adams mansion like vultures, hungry for the truth. Reporters camped outside, their cameras flashing like lightning. Investors withdrew their funds. Business partners cut ties. The Adams name, once untouchable, was now stained beyond repair. Inside the grand mansion, chaos reigned. Chief Adams stormed through the halls, knocking over a priceless vase. His face was a mask of rage and desperation. "How could you?" he bellowed, grabbing Zara's arm. "You think this will make you powerful? You think you've won?" Zara yanked her arm free. Her eyes were sharp as blades. "This isn't about power. It's about justice." Chief Adams staggered back, gripping his chest. A sudden, sharp gasp escaped his lips. His face twisted in pain. "Dad?" Max's voice was filled with alarm as his father collapsed onto the floor. Silence. Then a scream. Chief Adams lay motionless, his fingers clutching his heart. His empire had crumbled, and now, so had he. The sky was clear, the air crisp. Zara stood in front of her mother's grave, the wind whispering through the trees. It had been 3 months since she had last set foot in the Adams mansion. The past had been buried, just like the woman who had suffered in silence for so long. Max had left. After everything that happened, he had needed time to heal, time to understand who he was outside of his family's shadow. He had written her once, one short letter. "I'll find you again, Zara. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day." Zara traced her fingers over the engraved letters of her mother's name. A tear slipped down her cheek, but this time It wasn't from pain. It was relief. She was finally free. And this was just the beginning. The Adams empire had crumbled, but Zara was still standing. She sat behind the massive oak desk, in what was once Chief Adams's grand office, her fingers gliding over the polished wood. The same place where he had built his fortune, crushed his enemies, and controlled everything with an iron grip. Now it belonged to her. The Adams family had gone into hiding. Their wealth had disappeared. Overnight frozen accounts, lawsuits, abandoned deals. Their powerful friends had turned their backs on them. Even Max had vanished, escaping the weight of his family's disgrace. But Zara stayed. She had spent years suffering, watching her mother wither under the burden of a secret love affair, the betrayal, the humiliation. She had spent years plotting, waiting for the perfect moment. And now, the throne was hers. A knock at the door. "Come in," she said, her voice as calm as a still ocean hiding the storm underneath. A man in a crisp suit stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Miss Zara, the auction for the Adams properties is complete. The mansion, the cars, even the private jet, it's all been liquidated." Zara gave a slow, satisfied nod. "Good." The man hesitated. "And about Chief Adams?" Zara leaned back in the leather chair, a smirk playing at her lips. "Let him suffer. Let him watch everything he built rot from the inside out." Her words were ice cold. No mercy, no forgiveness. Weeks later, she received an unexpected letter. From Max. "Meet me. One last time." She found him at a quiet cafe on the outskirts of Lagos. He looked different, older, wiser, but his eyes still held that familiar fire. "You've won," Max said, studying her carefully. "You took everything from us." Zara sipped her tea, unbothered. "Your father took everything from me first." Max exhaled, rubbing his temples. "I never wanted to be part of his empire, but I also never wanted this war between us." He met her gaze, searching for something the girl he once loved. "Are you happy, Zara?" Zara hesitated. For the first time in months, she felt an unfamiliar ache. Was she happy? She had destroyed the man who had destroyed her mother. She had taken back the power that was stolen from her. But as she looked into Max's eyes, she realized something. Revenge doesn't heal wounds. It only leaves scars. Max stood up, shaking his head. "If you ever remember who you were before all of this, come find me." Then he walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Zara watched him go. The girl from the slums, the housemaid, the secret daughter, the woman who had taken everything. Now, she had a choice. The story teaches that revenge does not heal wounds, as true peace comes from forgiveness and letting go. It highlights that love is stronger than hate, and while power and wealth are temporary, the consequences of our actions last forever. It also emphasizes that our past does not define our future, and real strength lies in choosing peace over destruction. Ultimately, the story reminds us that true victory is not in ruining others, but in building a better life for ourselves. Thank you so much for watching this intense and gripping story on African Tales Stories channel.